All right, everyone. I have to say this topic right now is hands down my favorite. Out of like 12 years or whatever of foam rolling, this has been one of the most impactful approaches on my life, especially the last 2 years. Being able to use a foam roller, specifically the Moball Roller in this case, to help me release stress, to down-regulate my nervous system, to let go at the end of the day, and ultimately sleep and recover better, has been absolutely magical. So that's what this next series of videos is about. And Julie and I have come up with a really amazing combination of movements and positions that are gonna just help us really relax, wind down. Our nervous system's gonna be absolutely quiet and calm, and we're gonna sleep like babies. Well, I don't know about all babies, but as the saying goes, we're gonna sleep really well. So for this series of videos, we want a nice, comfortable, soft surface. Obviously, we have our foam roller or myofascial release tool. We're using the Moball Roller, which I think is absolutely magical for this. And then I highly recommend having a blanket and or pillow. For all of these movements, this whole series, you want the focus to be softening, relaxing, and letting go. So often we get into this like, let's break things up, let's get more flexible, release things when we're doing our tissue release, and that's the opposite effect of what we want. We want relaxed, soft, and comfortable. So make sure to just make sure your setting is comfortable, and that's all you need. So we're gonna get into my favorite way to kind of down-regulate, release stress, and get ready for bed at the end of the day. So we're gonna be on the ground for this one. I highly recommend having a folded up blanket or a pillow just in case, just like we do here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the balls on the Moball Roller really close together, probably just touching. If you're using a regular foam roller, it's just gonna be laying on its side like this, and then definitely having that pillow or blanket ready to go. So Julia's gonna find the crest of her hips, so kind of just like the top of her bony part of her hip, and she's gonna find the soft area just above that, and she's gonna take her time laying down right in between the two balls on her side, the side of her abdomen. And we really just want to take our time. What we don't want is our body to kind of clench up and tighten because of the intensity. And once we're in place, we're just going to take a few deep breaths and just locate any extra tension or holding or protecting in the body and just let it go. Really give yourself to the floor and to the blanket or pillow. So what we're going to do here is we're going to release tissue, and also we're going to bring our nervous system down into a less stressful state by focusing on a really key area of our body, which is going to be our side and lower back. So right now she's on the ball, and once she's settled, she's fully just feeling really good about the way that she's resting on the ball and everything is relaxed. She's gonna slowly start tilting her body forward as if she's gonna lay on her stomach, maybe 10 degrees. Pausing for a moment to feel it, and then tilting back. Now, I totally welcome moving around this top foot if it helps to get into a better position just for stability. If you're happy the way it is initially, just keep it there. Just noticing as we rock back and forth, just noticing how the ball is going to press into our abdomen or our stomach or back differently, and it's going to release the tissue. But giving it that extra moment, maybe an exhale before moving on to get the release. So after maybe a half dozen or so rocking back and forth, we're just going to come back into a resting state on our side. Then we're going to come up nice and slow, and we're actually going to adjust the balls so they're a little bit apart now. We're going to lay down the same way, but just be careful. We don't want the bar pressing into our body too much. So go ahead and just lay down nice and slow, using the pillow if you need. And now we're gonna start, actually let's first do a few more of the same back and forth rocks, and what you'll notice is because the balls are spaced out a little bit more, we're gonna get more into the back and then more into the front. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
That's a good spot. So we've got muscles like internal and external obliques. We've got a side muscle called our QL, quadratus lumborum. And we just have a ton of fascia. We've got our psoas, hip flexors, so many things that carry tension and build up throughout the day that we're releasing so that we can relax, rejuvenate, and wake up fresh the next day. So lastly, what I like to do is we finish with the psoas, which is our deep hip flexor muscle. This muscle actually connects along our spine, deep in our back, and it actually goes kind of goes forward and inserts into our leg, and it's one of our main hip flexors. But the way we like to get this is a little bit not intuitive per se. So what we're actually going to do is if we think about going underneath our abdominals towards our belly button from the side. So I like to find this bony prominence kind of in the front of my hip here. And then I'm going to move a little bit towards my belly button. And then before I get like right on top of my abdominal muscles, I'm going to start going in and under. So as she's tilting forward, she wants to think about pressuring the ball like in towards her midline, but kind of like you're getting underneath your abdominal muscles. And she may actually end up laying all the way down or staying slightly tilted, whatever feels best. It's going to be a kind of a weird sensation, but it should feel like you're digging into something that's really tense or tender. And once you're there, we're just going to stay static and we're going to breathe. And with each breath, each exhale, I want you to think about just melting like butter in a pan. So that spot where the ball is pressing into your abdomen, just think about releasing and softening, melting like butter. You can do as few as like 5 or 6 breaths. Sometimes I lay here for like 3 minutes right before bed, and when I get up, I'm ready to go to sleep. Awesome. So just for the sake of time, we're gonna call that a wrap, but I can tell just by seeing how Julia is posturing and breathing, she's definitely in a much more relaxed, much less stressed state right now than when we started.
All right, so many of us get crunched up and hunched forward when we're sleeping. So another way to open everything up and increase blood flow so that you can calmly get into your bed and go to sleep after this is to open up your thoracic spine. So what you can do is put a little bit of space between the two balls of the roller, enough that your spine can go in between. We want to absolutely avoid being on vertebrae and on any bones, so adjust it to fit your own spine. And we're going to start with this at the base of the shoulder blades, and you can go ahead and grab your blanket, and you have a couple of options here. If you lay back on the roller and it feels super intense and you're unable to get down below, say a 5 out of 10 on the intensity scale, or you feel really upregulated, go ahead and drape part of a blanket over the roller to add a little bit more cushion when you lay back on it. So it's up to you. For the sake of being able to see, we're going to keep the pillow or the blanket directly behind the roller. And I highly recommend you do that so that as you lean back, which we're going to get to, you are essentially falling into a blanket. So
just below the shoulder blades. Right?
Yes, right at the base or a little below. We want to avoid being on the lumbar spine. Those vertebrae are a little bit more fragile, and we mainly want to open up the rib cage and get some more blood flow to all of the organs. So you can start with your knees bent, feet on the floor. And again, we've got one of the balls on each side of your spine right at the base. Hands can go behind your head to support your neck. And you're gonna take a deep breath in here at the top, and on your exhale, you're gently letting your upper body fall back towards the pillow or blanket. Hang out here at the bottom for another inhale and exhale. Again, we're opening up the rib cage. We want to get blood flow and hydration down to this area. And then you're slowly going to come back up to your starting position. If it feels really intense to come back to the starting position, you can always lay on the blanket for a little bit longer. But from here, we're going to take another deep breath in and exhale again, letting your upper body fall. In an ideal world here, we're aiming to get the movement from the thoracic spine, so the mid-spine and up. The lumbar spine can stay relaxed. We're mainly opening up from the top. After 2, scoot your glutes down a little bit so we go a little bit higher into the spine. And we're gonna do the same thing. So deep breath in and exhale, gently fall. You may find your mobility is a little less the higher you go on your spine. That's totally fine, that's simply physics. But do your best to let your body go heavy and breathe at the bottom. After a breath or 2, come up, and we're gonna do one more time. Deep breath in, exhale, let it go. Again, aiming to get that mobility from the thoracic and upper spine. Relax your low back and your hips. Nice. Good. We're gonna come back to the starting position one more time, scoot down just a few more inches, and last time we're gonna be almost at the top of the shoulder blades now. We wanna avoid the neck for now, make sure you're still in the mid-back, and we're gonna do one last time here. Deep breath in and leaning back from this angle. You can let your elbows fall open on this one too. We're a little bit more in that upper spine and chest now. Again, your mobility may be a little less this time because we're higher up in the spine. That's totally fine. And we have one final time, breathing in nice and deep, sending that breath all the way down to the low abdomen, and exhale, let it go. The more you can breathe into the low abdomen throughout, the more we're going to stretch out all of the fascia and the tension in this core and rib cage area. And that's going to really help everything in your nervous system relax and get blood flow to all the places it needs to be to relax and go to sleep. So good job, Brian.
Thank you.
Moving on to a release for the pecs and the shoulders. What you're gonna wanna do is slide the ball up towards the very top of the roller. And let's talk placement for a second. We're gonna be putting this right in the squishy part of your pec. And there's a few things you wanna avoid. We've got the collarbone right here. We've got the ball of your shoulder bone. And we've got some more of the ribs that feel a little bit more superficial here in the chest. We wanna avoid anything feeling really bony and get this perfectly sized ball right into the squishy part of our shoulder. So make sure it's sinking in. It should feel muscly and more fascia-ish than sharp and like a bone, right? So we're gonna start still with our pillow. This is gonna be for your head, and we're gonna do one arm at a time. We're gonna start on the left, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna place that ball right in the left pec. And Brian's gonna get it set up here. Position-wise, you're going to be laying on it, and you can put your head on a pillow or wherever is comfortable for your head. Perfect. So again, we're avoiding being on that shoulder bone. It's sinking straight in. We're getting the pec and even a little bit of the pec minor. All of the fascia here connects up through the neck and down through the rib cage. So compressing this one spot is going to get space and blood flow back into so many different areas of your body. It's amazing. So I highly recommend simply hanging out here for a few deep breaths. So every time you breathe in and let it go, see if you can let your body become a little bit heavier and sink deeper into that pec spot. And then in order to create a little bit more space in the fascia, we're gonna move the left arm a little bit forward and back. So it can be very gentle to start, just sliding it up towards the top of the roller and back down. Make sure you're still breathing, moving slow. And if you like, from here, we can rotate from your shoulder in a palm up, palm down way. And we go through that same range of motion. So we're still working down towards the hip and then working our way up towards the head. That's going to get a little bit more deep into the pec here, create a little bit more space. Nice. If that feels intense, go ahead and sink back down into it. Breathe a few times. You may notice you're getting a little bit deeper into that spot. Remember, we want to stay somewhere at a 5 out of 10 or less as far as the intensity goes, so our body can stay really calm and stay in that calm nervous system state. Nice. Lastly here, if you pull your arm in almost to a 90-degree angle, and then go a little bit reaching up and down with your hand. That's the last move that just, again, create a little bit more space and mobility in the shoulder. Whatever feels more comfortable. If your hand can slide along the carpet or off the ground, it's up to you. Let's go one more time. And again, let's go heavy. And for 2 more breaths, we're simply breathing in, again, all the way down into the low abdomen. And let go. And one last time, letting your shoulders sink into the ball and let go.